Hello, and welcome to the next episode, episode 7 of A Voice from the Ever Change. And if your first time joining here, what I'll be doing here is guiding a meditation, just a very basic, quick meditation through the breath and body as a way of grounding ourselves into the present moment. We'll just rest in silence after that for a few moments, and then I'll read a poem and a commentary that I composed for my latest book entitled A Voice from the Ever Change. Now, that book has 5 chapters, I believe. Those chapters are on meditation, resting, loving kindness and equanimity, a chapter on impermanence and change, that's where the title of the book comes from, and a chapter on gratitude. And so today I'm reading from chapter 1. This is poem number 5, in case you're following along. And by the way, if you do want a PDF copy of the book, A Voice from the Ever Change, I'm happy to mail that out, email to you for free. Just send me your email address through Messenger, and I will be happy to mail you a copy so you can follow along. Many people find that useful. You can read along as I'm reading and so forth like that. So that could be helpful. Also, if anyone out there has any questions that come up in regards to anything that I'm reading or in regards to meditation in general, do send those questions along. I'll be hosting a Q&A session every Sunday evening at this same time, which is 7 p.m. in Thailand, 8 a.m. East Coast time in the United States. And so I think that's all I needed to say just now. I will ring the bell and I'll guide the meditation, and then I'll read the poem and I'll read the commentary. And then as I often do, I just improvise a little bit after the commentary. You can thank me or curse me for that later. Okay. Allowing the body, mind, and heart to rest. Just coming into this very present moment experience. Noticing the breath as it enters and leaves the nose. There might be a dry or a cool sensation around the nostrils or in the nostrils. You might notice the temperature slightly different in one nostril over the other, or perhaps breathing in more air through one nostril over the other. And allowing awareness to expand to include the air touching the back of the throat. Perhaps simply noticing the temperature changing from cooler to warmer as you inhale and exhale. Allowing awareness to expand again to include the rib cage expanding and contracting with each breath. You might notice sensations of clothing moving to adjust with the rising and falling of the body as you inhale and exhale. Perhaps also noticing the abdomen rising and falling with each breath. And breathing in and breathing out, you might also notice the back moving out slightly on the in-breath and in on the out-breath. Noticing the shoulders rising and falling with each breath. And as you breathe in and breathe out, perhaps also noticing the body straightening up slightly on the in-breath and leaning forward slightly on the out-breath. And while resting in the experience of breathing, allowing awareness to expand again to include sensations of clothing against the shoulders. Noticing the arms resting against the body, the hands resting against the body or touching each other. And as you breathe in and breathe out, you might also notice sensations of clothing against the back, the weight of the body against the chair, cushion, mat, or floor. Sensations of clothing against the legs. Noticing the feet against the mat or floor. And while resting in the experience of breath, body, allowing awareness to expand to include any sensations arising from the top of the head. There might be no sensations there, that's okay too, that's fine, just keep going. Noticing any sensations arising from the back of the head. Expanding awareness into the back of the neck, the sides of the neck. There might be sensations arising from the ears, the sides of the head. You might also notice sensations arising in the face, sensations arising in the lips, the nose, the eyes, and the forehead. And allowing awareness to expand back to the top of the head. And so we'll rest right there just for a few moments, maintaining open, spacious awareness on the sensations of the breath, from the nose to the abdomen to the nose, and sensations arising throughout the body, from the top of the head to the bottoms of the feet. And if at any time during the meditation practice you find you become distracted by your thoughts, you can label those thoughts with the word thinking, which will allow the thoughts to go, and you can gently return back to the present moment experience. And now, while resting with the experience of breath and body, allow awareness to expand again to include any sounds which might be available during this present moment experience. You don't need to focus on any one particular sound, but noticing the entire field of sounds. Hearing all of the sounds, all at the same time, as if you are listening to the universe orchestrate a beautiful soundtrack of the present moment. And in addition to any sounds, paying close attention to the quality of still silence within this present moment. When you listen to the silence in this way, you might notice how that silent space seems to permeate all of experience. And so we'll rest right there, maintaining open, spacious awareness, sensations of the breath, the body, sound and silence, and just rest. Breathing in and breathing out. And in the silence of this meditation, I'll offer this poem. Allow the words to this poem to guide your awareness wherever it may want to go. The great Sufi poet Rumi once wrote, "Silence is the language of God. Everything else is just a poor translation." By resting in the silence of meditation, we learn to speak this language, transverbal communication. We may then bear witness to the oneness of nature, which is the same oneness in our hearts. The mundane becomes the sublime. The commentary. Step into the forest. What do you hear? A crunch of the sound of autumn leaves under your feet, or perhaps a few dried branches and sticks giving way under the weight of each footstep. Do you hear the bird song? Perhaps the singing of the cicadas, the babbling of a nearby stream. Do you hear the whisper of the breeze as it flutters through the branches of a nearby tree, gently sending the remaining leaves slowly adrift to rest on the dry, cracked earth below? Notice the visual field as it unfolds before you with each step. What do you see? A redwood? A pine? The autumn leaves red and gold? Do you see a deer or a dog? Perhaps your eyes fall upon a squirrel collecting acorns in preparation for the upcoming winter, or a light mist emerging from your nose as a result of your own warm exhalation mixing with the biting chill in the air. In reality, you hear and see none of that. What? You reply. Is this a trick? Some sort of riddle? Perhaps. But bear with me a moment, and I believe the line of reasoning will become quite clear. Now, the words you utter describing the experience which you encountered upon certain vibrations hitting your eardrums may point, more or less, to a type of sound you experienced. But those words are not the sound. The words written on a page may more or less accurately describe what you saw with your eyes, but those words are not the sights your eyes allowed you to see. When it is written out in this way, it almost seems over-obvious, and yet most of us go through our life convinced that the world is as we map it out in our mind. We are convinced that the sky is blue. It isn't blue. Blue is a word. Words have very little to do with actualities. Words, at best, serve as a map for humans to agree on as a sort of collective experience of life. You see a rose, and I see a rose, and we both say that that is a rose. We are in agreement, and so are many other people. And so we label that object rose. This convention of our culture is quite convenient, as it allows for us humans to communicate on a vast spectrum. From the mundane to the sacred, we weave in and out of conversations built entirely on these conventions. As a result of this agreed convention of shared experience, we can construct societies, build education programs, exchange goods and services, discuss physics, send people to the moon, create music, play sports, heal people, and any number of collective endeavors. The convention of language itself is not the problem. The problem is that we believe the words and labels to be sewn into the very fabric of life itself. We look at the ocean and think, oh, the ocean. And that's what it is, and we simply leave it there. In this way, we never experience the vastness, the majesty, the beauty inherent in the experience of the ocean itself. And even here, we must recognize that the ocean is not the O-C-E-A-N written in black lines against a white background. For that is just falling into the same trap. No. We must get ourselves to the seaside, or in a boat, and sit and quiet the mind for a few moments and actually feel and experience the vastness, the wetness, the salty smell, the gray blueness of the ocean itself. If you do this, your mind might start labeling the experience. Beautiful, peaceful, lovely, or salty, your mind might say. But the ocean experience itself is none of these things. You can see that those thoughts are just more labels. The line of thinking is nothing more than descriptions which, although a useful means of communication, separate us from the very texture of life itself. Let all of those thoughts and labels go. Drop the habitual screen of thought which is filtering out the inherent magic of life itself. Come back to the very suchness of what is unfolding right here and right now. Here I have used the example of the ocean, but this can be done in any setting. It helps to have a formal meditation practice, because then we actually practice dropping the words as they arise in a focused, concentrated way, free from distractions. After spending some time doing that in meditation, we understand what it feels like to rest in between the thoughts in our mind themselves. In that type of practice, one is cultivating a heightened sense of awareness and attention. With that awareness and attention, we may then start to experience that world which lie in between the labels and definitions. We gift ourselves with the opportunity to experience life free from the map-making, trouble-making, problem-making mind. We may then come to know the world as nature intended it to be experienced. The world of silence, which Rumi so eloquently referred to, the language of God. As this shift in the way we experience life begins to settle, a new type of awareness may begin to emerge. We might recognize that just as our environment and our surroundings are more accurately experienced when they are released from the labels of our own mind, so too are we. We can then stop labeling our own body, our own mind, and our own heart. Just experience our body as it is, a subtle warmth moving through the muscles and flesh, a tingling of the foot falling asleep, the itch that arises on the tip of the nose. Simply rest in the experience of whatever is arising, without the labeling, defining, map-making mind drawing off experiences into, it is this, not that, or it is not that, it is this. The physical body then becomes a mass of vibrating, energized experience, which, as it so happens, is just another aspect of this present moment. The computer, the desk, the warm cup of coffee, the new phone, my fingers, my back, the clothing against my skin, the pang of hunger in my stomach, the sensations of my body against the chair, the feet against the floor, the books on the bookshelf, the sound of the neighbor's abrasive music. All of this is just experience arising in this field of awareness. The concepts of inside and outside of one's body drop away, and all is simply experience arising and passing through the vast, open space of awareness itself. You are that awareness. I am that awareness. We are all this open, spacious awareness. Just rest. Thank you for meditating with me, enjoying the poem, my offering, the commentary. So I'll just say a little bit, as I always do at the end of these episodes, kind of improvising a little bit of a Dharma talk, if you will. First, I want to thank everyone for not only joining me in this offering, but all of the offerings that I'm seeing on Facebook Live, on social media, on Instagram, everything from jazz harpists to yoga being taught in different sort of platforms over Zoom and over Facebook Live, Reiki being offered, cacao ceremonies, all kinds of jazz concerts. I saw a symphony somehow managed to sync up and do Beethoven's Ninth, I believe. Wow. It's amazing to see how all of this effort is coming forth to try to make this most challenging time more palatable. What an energy I think we're beginning to cultivate here with that. So thank you all for the efforts, and if you're there just enjoying, well, people who are putting these forth, these efforts, need an audience. Without an audience, we wouldn't be able to do all of this. So thank you for being an audience member, if that is your contribution to this wonderful unfolding, this virtual family of offerings. The audience is just as important as the performer. They coexist. So coming back to what I was offering there in the poem and the commentary about allowing the mind to let go. We practice this when we're meditating, wherever we're distracted by our thoughts, we label those thoughts with the word thinking. That allows the thoughts to dissolve, and we come back to rest in whatever it is we're experiencing viscerally, in the body, in the mind, in the heart. And we do all of that through the eyes of non-judgment. We don't judge what's arising in the body, in the mind, in the heart. We just rest. If judging arises, that's really just more thought. We can say thinking to that judging, come back to the present moment, and rest again right there. Now, why is this helpful? Well, of course, as I was just pointing to, it's quite helpful if we want to experience that world which Rumi was pointing at, that world beyond words, the world beyond thoughts, the world as nature intended it to be experienced. The human species is the only species that we're aware of that experiences this world through the screen of thought, through the screen of concept. So when we let that go, we experience what the Buddha called the suchness of life. So this is quite powerful in this present moment pandemic experience, because any type of fear that is arises in our thought process. Any type of anxiety that we might feel from perhaps watching the news or watching another newscast that's I call the news the fear pump. When that fear gets pumped into us, it's pumped into us through our thoughts. We can just say, oh, that's just more thinking. I don't need to do that right now. What's in front of me? What am I feeling? The sensations of clothing on my body in the chair, my feet against the floor, the breath entering my nose. If the sensations of the body and breath are challenging to reach, listen to what's happening in the sounds. The birds are singing, the crickets are there. Open your eyes, what's happening in the visual field? The sun is shining. There's cars driving by. These are all present moment experiences. When we can ground our awareness in what is happening right now, the fear, the anxiety becomes alleviated. We can step off that cycle of fear, if only just for a moment, and take a breath. We can put that fear down. Sensations of the body, that feels pretty good actually, most of the time. Unless you're wounded somehow, there's generally not a lot of fear there. Or if you can bring your awareness to the sounds, the music on the radio, the sound of the birds, the crickets. If you're listening to this talk, the sound of my voice. Coming right back to what is happening right here and right now. And so with that, I think I'll close. Again, thank you all for joining me. I will be back again tomorrow at this same time, 7 p.m. in Thailand, 8 a.m. East Coast Standard Time in America. So, I hope to see you all then. If you're catching the video, thank you for joining the video. That's great. And again, I just want to reiterate, if you'd like a copy of the new book, email me or message me through Messenger your email address, and I'll send you a free copy of the PDF so you can read the poetry, you can follow along with the commentary as I read during the meditation if you wish. But ideally, actually, those are offered as a meditation in itself. So if you'd like, if you're meditating along with the guiding, just continue meditating with the poem and the commentary, and again, allowing the poem, allowing the commentary to simply guide your awareness wherever it may want to reach. Stay safe, stay healthy, eat your vitamin C, eat your vitamin D, wash your hands, wash your hands. Social distancing works. Check the numbers if you don't believe it. Ask any doctor, they'll tell you. Wear your masks. Stay 2 meters apart. If you're in quarantine, please obey the government quarantines. And before long, you'll be out enjoying the sunshine, and you'll forget all about me. I hope. So thanks again. And I'll see you all tomorrow.